And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello to everyone. It is the newest edition of the Weighing In podcast where we're going to talk about UFC 279 that took place in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. A lot of things shook up. We talked about that. We had a special show for it. And there's a whole lot of things that came out of that show. We're going to talk about those and some other things that are happening in the world of combat sports. My man Josh Thompson was there watching all of the fights from God knows
just
where.
From where.
God knows.
But before we jump into this actual fight talk, let's talk about Podcast Dave, because this is what I love to do. He decided to try his hand at being a referee yesterday. He was the referee for one of his friends' gender reveals. Dave, you have a picture of that? Can we get a picture
Dave
of this,
did an
please?
outstanding job,
go,
and
buddy.
he took care of everybody, made sure there was nobody that took too much damage. And in the end, the actual reveal of the correct gender was put out there, even though some people will say, well, how do we know that's going to be so?
Don't get started with that, please. I have a question. Did somebody fake like a knee to the head or an eye poke? And did you have to get in there, Dave? And
somebody faked a low blow.
A low blow?
So I don't know, what do you call it? She-woman? I don't know.
She-woman?
Oh, that was a nice.
Kicked He-Man right in the balls.
Kicked He-Man in the nutsack, huh?
This is great.
That's a nice look, Dave.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to say let's get it on. I had to say fight because it was in the script. But
Dave, you could move from the front yard here and the grass with what you're wearing right into a ring in Brazil a couple of years back, and you're the perfect referee. That's exactly what they would wear.
Yep. Well,
Dave's a little white to be in Brazil roughing matches, buddy.
I was right at home, I had to lift the arm 2 times because he started to pass out, and then on the third time, I don't know where it came from, but He-Man had the strength somehow to hold his arm up the third time.
Oh, you were very familiar with that one.
Oh yes.
He punched the ground, got up, shook the whole place up, and then they started punching each other, and then they both went down. I had to do the 10 count. And it was such an
10 count.
epic.
Okay, so who won? Who's the gen? What's the gender?
Boy, He-Man won.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you're gonna have 2 of them fighting. It would make sense.
Well, it really makes sense that He-Man would be wearing sandals
Yes.
here to fight. He's got,
This is
it's always good for grip.
Comfort first.
This is so great, man. This went down in the front yard. Is that a beer in the background on the rock?
Oh,
yeah. So the He-Man.
That's the referee's beer.
Yeah.
So yeah, He-Man. They had to be holding a drink. There was a whole script, so they had to be holding a drink. Put the drinks down when they were told as part of the script. And then you see this little red cup right here. That's my mojito.
My mojito,
Dude. Hey, Dave.
God.
Right. I'm going to give you a little lesson. Your mojito is too far away from you. There's no way for you to effectively grab that and stay close to your combatants. You need to bring the mojito more towards where the beer's at.
And have you not learned anything about reffing at all? Like, you're actually in the wrong position. Like,
He is. He's on the close
other
side. See?
Yeah.
There, look at Josh go.
Wait, what are you talking about?
You're on the wrong side. Like,
You're on the
you
close
actually
side.
Can't, yeah, you're on the close side, but that's like where you can't. You miss punches and.
Well, I had
eye
to be behind the
pokes
cameras.
Well, that. Here's the thing, John. We talk about this all the time. We as analysts, we want the view that the cameras have, but the cameras and the ref, we want the view that the refs have. The cameras can't get that view because the ref's always in the damn way. So when you see like they can't get a good picture or a good shot, it's because the ref's probably blocking the view that the camera wants in the real fights, not but in the real fights. And that's kind of funny that you just said that. Yeah, you want to make sure that the camera gets a good view. Yeah.
And there was a winner, Josh. So I think I did an amazing, effective job. The fact that there was a winner, right? Like,
yeah.
proves
So
that
did it
I
end
did
by
an amazing job.
knockout? Did it end by pin? What did it end by? You
So-
said it got
so-
the 3 count in the arm
so they
race.
both-
But
they
then you
both
said
did
there
a-
was a 10 count.
They did like a double knockdown, and then I had to do a 10 count, so I had to count to 10 for the both being on the ground, and He-Man got up before the 10 count. He answered the 10 count, so
Oh.
he was.
So you went to
amazing.
boxing.
Went to Well, it's a combination of boxing and the real pro wrestling sport that is
the real pro
The
wrestling.
real pro wrestling sport. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, let's
Before I
let's
throw
move
up
on.
in my mouth.
It's too late, bro. It's too late. I actually threw up a little bit. And I actually swallowed it. It was so bad. It's gross. I wanted to believe in it, and I couldn't. But John, can you pull up Ben Askren's? Never mind. Don't worry. Don't pull it up. Ben Askren did a quick video, and Dave was actually hitting us up, talking about it as well. The conspiracy theories surrounding this card and everything that was going on. Look, I know it sounds great to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The UFC puts the UFC does these does the matchmaking, puts it all together. That's kind of what they're looking for, and it kind of made sense, to be honest. If you know anything about Dana White, you know anything about the model of the UFC when it comes to fighters leaving or fighters, they're kind of getting towards the end of their time. They're trying to build their younger fighters off of them, and that's exactly what you had. Now, I thought this ended up, and I think a lot of people agreed, it ended up being a better card because of it all. We finally got to see the Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson fight. Now, when we're going back and forth, so let's talk about some of the conspiracy theories here. You said the brawl with Holland and Chimaev in the back, is that a coincidence? And that Holland was also at a fighting on the same card at a catch weight. Is it a coincidence also that Tony Ferguson got added to the card last minute? Also, at a higher weight class at 170. I think people should be reminded that promoters normally put on fights with a backup fight on there, and it's not so much that they're thinking that a backup fight's going to need to be used, but if someone did come up with COVID, they can slide. There's always probably 2 welterweights on the card. There's probably 2 flyweight guys on the card or females on the card, whatever it is. Because if someone falls off, they can potentially slide one of them in there for the bigger name fighter to make sure they always have a fight.
No doubt about it. That's been part of since the COVID era.
Yeah.
Came about. As a promoter, you had to be looking and saying, I can lose a fight at any moment. This is not like it was in the past. It's not just about, a fighter getting hurt. It's about they just come in contact with someone and all of a sudden I can't use them. I've got to be able to switch my card up. And so, you can look at all the conspiracy theories and everything like that. That's all great. But
this show is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use our promo code Weighing In. They'll give you a little extra spending cash with your first initial deposit. We had some great fights over the weekend, John, and we actually gave out some great odds last week. But then guess what? The whole card got turned upside down on its head. But it was still a great card. The UFC put on a great show. But hey, at mybookie.ag, they made those adjustments. So if you guys had placed a bet already, they honored that bet with someone you had there, or they just canceled your bet and they let you bet on the fight that was actually put together. Great stuff. Hopefully some of you guys came out on top at mybookie.ag. Use our promo code Weighing In.
Let's be honest. Tony Ferguson fought most of his career, because he fought a lot of fights at welterweight before, but most of his career was at lightweight in the UFC. Okay. Nate Diaz fought most of his career at lightweight in the UFC. So it didn't matter if it was lightweight or welterweight, I guess, dependent upon, well, then you have Chimaev. So obviously they weren't thinking about Chimaev, not making weight. It is something that happened. I look at it and it's like, you can conspiracy theory just about anything you want and try to come up with stuff. That's not what happened. The UFC got stuck in a position where their main event, their one guy came in way overweight. Obviously I think they knew that he was overweight for a while and had been looking at figuring out how they could, work this out. The whole thing with Kevin Holland in the back, you can watch that and everything and go, what was it? How many times have you seen something like that, Josh?
All the time.
Okay. All the time. I see it. I've seen it so many times where two fighters who are not fighting each other, all of a sudden they're coming to words, something said, someone takes a swing, a kick. Happens all the fucking time.
Yeah,
so
in the hotels, like in the hallways of the hotels.
Oh my God,
hallways
of the elevators.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's always
so that stuff happens all the time. I look at it and go, is it a conspiracy? No, it was a bunch of things came together and the UFC took it and made the best of it that they could. And I actually think in the end, people now after the fights have happened might say, "Oh, I wish it would have stayed the way." I think it actually turned out better the way it was. I thought that the commentary was right when they said it's a more compelling card, more compelling fights. You take a look at, Tony Ferguson against Nate Diaz. That is a more, I'm just going to say it, a more evenly matched fight between those two guys at their, specific point in their career, at the age, at everything. And it's not the whole thing of a promotion trying to build up a young fighter by using the name of an older fighter that they get a win over, that, they can then sit there and market later on with his other fights. So, no, the conspiracy theory, nice, great, have fun with it. That's not what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, let me break this down. From the time the fighters arrive, they check the weight. Chimaev was probably significantly over, and they're like, you know what? He's made the weight before. Let's go ahead and give him the opportunity. They know exactly
what he's done in the past, how much he's lost,
and because
from the time he's gotten there.
Probably showed up so much overweight, they probably checked him every single day.
Yeah.
And then they realized that he, and everyone's like, oh, he was smiling on the thing, like he wasn't even bothered. And Dana, but the thing is, some fighters, that's how they react. They're like, fuck it, man. I know I'm not going to make the weight. Why am I going to, don't torture myself over it. Don't be down about it. The potential of still having a fight is going to be there. And I would almost guarantee that the night before, they knew he wasn't going to make the weight. So when he got on the scale, it was just basically for the media to see that he didn't make the weight. But Dana and Hunter and Sean, they all knew already. They knew the night before he wasn't going to make the weight. And so they had already kind of been scheming. Everyone's like, well, Dana didn't seem like he was upset. He was probably super pissed off the night before. But then, when you've got guys like Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson on a fight card, it wouldn't have mattered if Tony fought at lightweight or if he was fighting at welterweight at the time. Tony Ferguson would have taken that fight. Yep. It didn't matter against Nate Diaz. It didn't matter if he fought at lightweight. That's the kind of person Tony Ferguson is. And that's the kind of person Nate Diaz is. And that's what he said. He's like, look, I should have been fighting this guy a long time ago. And Tony's been wanting that fight for a long time as well. It was a great opportunity for both these guys to be the main event, to fight people that are in their respective positions right now in their career. And the Chimaev thing, it just so happened that there was another guy on there that, sure, everyone's, oh, he got the beef. Well, he could have fought Lee also. He already fought Lee, sorry. But there was other guys. He could have fought D-Rod, because D-Rod is the guy that came in that was the catchweight as well. He could have fought D-Rod. Mm-hmm. There was other options. It just so happened that the controversy worked out with Holland, and Holland, is one of those guys. He's going to take the fight no matter what. When we, as a promoter, he picked Dana White or Hunter and those, they picked the right guys to have on this card if something like this fell apart. Because had it not been this crew, they would have been.
It could have gotten ugly.
It could have gotten real ugly. It could have gotten real ugly.
Yep.
And it would have been a pretty sight, man. And when I said last week on the short show we did, which did great numbers, by the way. We want to thank all the fans for really tuning in. Hopefully you guys liked and subscribed. And if you guys like our content, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. But like I was saying last week, was these type of things like Chimaev did, it pisses Dana off. And maybe this whole thing worked out, but this is kind of Chimaev's one strike. Look, making weight is a big deal to me. To every promoter, it's a big deal. If you don't make weight, what am I going to do with you? I can't rely on you. Now, there is a lot of talk that he basically got like a better fight. He didn't get an easier fight. He got a harder fight. And so I don't understand what you're not like. To me, Kevin Holland was the harder fight for him. Kevin Holland's a good fighter. Nate is mainly boxing. Nate's good on the guillotines, good on those things, as we saw. When Nate's 37 years old, pushing, I think 38. Is he 37? I think he's 37.
He's 37.
Yeah. So like when that style against somebody, 37. That style, Nate's a fantastic fighter, but him fighting just strictly a wrestler, the history has shown the Diaz brothers have always had a hard time with good wrestlers. And that was not, and you saw how Chimaev came out against Kevin Holland. He just wrestled and chased the submission one after another.
Didn't he cheat?
I don't know. What did he cheat? Did he?
Comes out, for the glove tap. What does he do?
Oh man, that's not cheating though. That's being a poor sport. That's
okay.
all it is. That's being
I
a
love
poor
it.
sport.
People go, he cheated. People, let's make this as clear as we can. There's that whole thing of protect yourself at all times. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that referee starts to fight, I tell guys this all the time. You want to go out there, you want to touch gloves, you want to hug, all that stuff. Hey, that's okay. Go ahead. It's on you. But don't be upset when he goes and he either takes your legs out or he lands a shot on you while you're trying to give a hug. I started the fight, started that round. It's on you.
Yeah. But to wrap up on the conspiracy, the UFC, they obviously knew what Chimaev's weight was. They probably had already reached out to managers. Fighters didn't need to know. They reached out to managers. And they said, hey, this is what we would like to do. If this doesn't happen, let us know. There was already buzz that Chimaev was overweight by 7 or 8 pounds or whatever it was, 10 pounds the night before. And so all of those things being considered, they kind of had a game planned out. And I think the one that really came through was D-Rod and Lee, because those are two that Lee had to go up and fight someone. Lee especially. You know, so they both had a little something like, man, this is not the guy that I was supposed to fight. This is not the guy, so.
And Lee weighed in at 170 pounds.
Yeah.
While D-Rod weighed in at 180 pounds.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like saying, I got a guy who fucking weighed in at fucking bantamweight and he's going to fight a featherweight.
Yeah. No, I agree. So you got to give Lee and you got to give D-Rod, especially Lee, a lot of love for stepping up and taking that fight. And I got to be honest, it was one of the better fights on the card, you know?
I thought he won.
Right. Yeah, we'll get into that. Let's so let's go ahead and start off with the main event there, John. So for UFC 279, we'll give you this quick. It will definitely not be quick. Give you some action on this fight on the Nate Diaz Tony Ferguson. Give me your thoughts, bud. This show is brought to you by ButcherBox.com. John, we love ButcherBox. They deliver directly to your house, my house. The food is delivered and frozen, already prepackaged. You just got to transfer it from there into your freezer. Some of the best meats can be delivered right to your doorstep. The quality of ingredients come to mind. Price comes to mind as well. Have you not seen the skyrocketing prices at Costco and other locations? ButcherBox.com/weighing in takes the guesswork out of finding high quality meat and seafood you can trust. 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork raised, crate-free, and wild-caught seafood, humanely raised, no antibiotics, and added hormones. I'm being honest, John. I love when ButcherBox comes to my front door and I can make that transfer. I feel good about everything I get from ButcherBox.
The best part about it, Josh, is when you get ButcherBox, you know that you're not getting any type of meat that's full of antibiotics, hormones, steroids, all these things that some people put into these products. ButcherBox makes sure that none of that happens. It's all clean. It's all organic, all natural, and some of the best tasting chicken, fish, pork, and beef you will ever get.
ButcherBox.com/weighing in.
And if you place that order now, you will get for the rest of your subscription to ButcherBox 2 pounds of chicken breast free for life. Every time you put in an order, you will get 2 pounds of chicken breast for free. That is exceptional. That's a meal for me, but it's exceptional.
We'll claim this deal at ButcherBox.com/weighing in.
Okay, my first thought is this. I have to say it. Hey, Mark Goddard. Now you know. Had the same things happen when Nick Diaz fought Anderson Silva. You know, he did all kinds of stuff, and I'm looking at Mark Goddard, and I can see the look like, you got to be shitting me. And hey, all you can do is roll with it. You got to tell him to fight and stuff, but you know what? It is part of the show, and it all played out well. So I looked at, and when we did that, quick show and talked about, this change of opponents and what was going to happen here, I looked at it and I thought, hey man, this is a close fight. And this is both guys older. Both guys, have losses, in their last fights. Both guys are not who they were, years ago, but they both match up pretty well. The real difference we're going to see in this, and I did see it, was who had gotten even older? Who was the guy that slowed down more? And I think that the real difference is when I say slow down more for me, Nate's never been a fast guy. He's never, he throws a lot as far as volume, and some of his shots, will come from good angles that look like they're quick, but he's not real fast. He's not fast of foot at all. His hands aren't that fast, but he throws a ton of, shots, ton of volume, and he just keeps that pressure. And it's pressure that, when Tony is a guy that he's a pressure fighter and he likes to come forward, and Nate likes to come forward. And you look and you said, okay, someone's going to be the guy that's going to end up leading this. Someone's going to be the guy that is in control of that. And whoever that guy is going to be the guy that's going to win this fight. And that's exactly what really happened. Tony came out and he was trying to control and push Nate back, and he was. He couldn't keep it going. It was too much. He couldn't take some of the pressure that Nate was pushing back with in the combinations, and it made Tony have to start to reset a lot. And as Tony started to reset more and more, he started losing more and more ground, and the front pressure of Nate coming after him and him not being able to get that second to relax, that second to reset, that second to catch just a gulp of air. It started to play out in this fight, and you could see it. And it started to play out in the fact that Tony took this fight, not, this fight, obviously last second, but he took the Lee fight with 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And so, and that was supposed to be a 3-round fight, coming in at a heavier weight, carrying more weight and stuff. In the end, all of that started to catch up with him, and he took some damage. I'm going to say it. Your fight against Tony, you took damage, early on in that fight, and you could see how it had an effect. Tony took damage throughout this fight, and it had an effect, and you could see things that worked for him in the past just weren't working for him against Nate. They were missing things that would land for him in the past. Little things that he would do that all of a sudden it just switched the momentum. He wasn't able to switch it up here, but man, he fought his ass off, and I goddamn, I love the guy, and my hat's off to him. He went out there just to fight, and he fought as good as he could. In the end, he gets caught with the guillotine, and you talked about that guillotine, and the fact that you've been in grappling competitions, and you knew, hey, you got to stay away from that goddamn thing because it can catch you, and when it's put on quick, he's good with it. That's what caught him.
First, I want to say to both fighters, great job.
Yep.
Nick and Nate both. Not Nick and Nate, but Tony,
Nick did a great job in the corner.
Tony and Nate. Look, it just Father Time's undefeated, and that's really what it comes down to. And John, you and I were talking off air before we started, and the Tony situation is, for me, it resonates because exactly where Tony is right now is where I was when I fought him.
Yeah.
He is, I can see it in his body. I can see it in his muscle tone. I can see it in just the way his facial features are. A lot of things change. Your face starts to change. Your body starts to change. You're not carrying the muscle that you used to be able to carry. You're not as explosive as you were before. He had some good tricks, up his sleeves. He was doing some good little back elbows. He was leading with the elbow. Yep. It just missed or just grazed. No cuts. That was one of the biggest things that people that I was reading online was oh, Tony's going to cut him because Nate's got so much scar tissue.
And they're used to that happening.
And they kind of almost got me believing. I'm like, oh shit, you guys might be right. I didn't even, when we did the lead up to this, I was like, I didn't even think about that when we did that little short show on Friday because of all the weigh-in shit. I was like, man, I didn't even think about that. You're right. Because there is so much scar tissue. Nate did a great job of keeping his defense up, not taking big shots. He took a couple good, hard, clean shots. But what I saw was Tony looked slower. Nate's not a fast guy. Tony had some good tricks up his sleeve, just wasn't able to land cleanly. But when I also look at, when you look at Max Holloway when he went to fight Dustin up at 155, I saw a little bit of that. Tony's first fight back at 170. Nate has been there for a while now. just the muscle. You've got to be able to. You got to keep carrying the weight of another fighter who's naturally walking around and understands how to cut the weight and put the weight back on. And I know Tony knows how to do all those things, but it does make a difference if you're not putting the weight on, building the muscle, and putting the weight on properly over a time frame. Don't just think because you walk around with that weight that you're going to be able to jump in there with someone who walks around with that weight, but then also cuts down to get there properly, not properly, but is walking around a little bit higher. So by the time they get back and they rehydrate, they're a little bit heavier than you, just your walk around weight. I saw there was moments when I looked at the fight, and I don't know if it was the TVs I was watching it on, when I saw Nate standing face to face with them and exchanging punches. Nate looked a lot bigger, and Tony's not a small guy.
No,
Tony's
they're
like
very
for 150. Yeah, they're very similar, but just Nate looked fuller. He looked bigger. He looked a little bit faster. He would look like he was out there relaxed and having fun. And I agree with you. The pressure of Nate Diaz gets to a lot of fighters. And especially when you're used to being the hammer like Tony Ferguson. He's used to being the one that walks people down, putting you in uncomfortable situations. He was doing that to me when I fought him. And like I said, it was weird because I'm used to sticking and moving when I was fighting, but I was also used to pushing forward and trying to wrestle you and do those things. He's exactly where I was when I fought him. And I look back to those moments in my career and I'm like, you only got a couple more left, buddy. And it's like, I love Tony Ferguson. Doesn't matter. I think he is a fucking legend in this sport. All the things that he has accomplished, all the things that he has done, he deserves the most respect. And same thing with Nate. But it's coming up. It really is. And what is this? Lost 6 now, I think, in a row? 5 or 6?
I believe so.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, it's just
Is it 5?
It's gonna be. I think it's
5.
6.
Yep.
So it's 5.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be time, man. And that's. I think he's got 3. I think he's got 3, and they're gonna have to make sure that they're opponents that make sense for him. He's gonna have to make sure they're opponents that make sense for him. So I don't know. I want the best for both of them. I hope that, like, Nate Diaz riding off into the sunset. He gave a little bit of that GSP speech at the end. I'm going to go for a little bit. Who knows? I may come back. But there, he wants, and I think I said this 18 months ago. He's going to fight Jake Paul. And then I think there's a good chance he fights Conor McGregor in a boxing match. I think there's a good chance he does it outside and it's promoted separately. I don't think he wants to. Maybe Conor will use the UFC to help promote that fight between them. But
I think Conor said his contract's up at the end of next year. I saw that on Twitter where there was something like Conor's contract's up at the end of next year, and so there's speculation around that.
The end of this year or next year?
Next year. I just saw something on Twitter. I can't even remember what it was, but it wasn't.
Years.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things, because if it was anybody other than Conor, I'm going to sit here and go, I know they can't box. UFC's got it in their contract. They're not. Maybe Conor has it to where he can now, do another boxing thing without the UFC's consent. I kind of doubt it still.
I think it's still the UFC consent.
Thank you.
But here's the thing: is his contract?
I don't think they would give it.
His contract's probably not up if he doesn't. If they're offering him fights and he's turning them down. They're just extending it. Now he may have something in his contract that says.
I don't think that right now it doesn't matter as far as them offering him fights. He's been injured. And he's off because he broke his leg with in his last fight with Dustin. So until he tells them I am back, I'm ready to go, they don't have to offer him a fight. Yeah,
that's true. That is true, and that just extends the contract however long he's out. Normally, now his contract may be different. He is a unique, in unique circumstances.
A unique relationship.
Yes, exactly, with the UFC. Like so you never know. But overall, my overall look on this fight, both guys came out, fought their asses off. Nate just looked like the one that had been fighting at 170 a little bit longer, used to dealing with bigger guys. He's used to handling people that have a bigger body frame. So when Tony came in there, and sure, he had a bigger body frame himself, but it wasn't the size of which Nate's been used to fighting, and so it showed. And it was a good fight. There was moments in there where Tony clipped Nate, and Nate doing his lean against the fence, pointing, all that stuff. I know it brought some action. They got the crowd on their feet, man. They really needed that, and I'm pumped. I loved the fight. I liked it a lot, but there's a little nostalgia there for the old dogs, and I'm an old dog, so I love it. I liked it.
Yeah, I looked at it and it's like, was it the greatest fight I've ever watched? Well, of course not, but it was fun.
Yeah, and
I enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoyed, just the way that they interacted during the fight at times and stuff. And they had moments where you could see they were like, yeah, that was good, and moments where you could see they got pissed at each other. And so, a little bit of, okay, that pissed me off, but just the whole thing this was a fight. In my opinion, it should have taken place, and it probably should have taken place years ago.
Yep.
But it finally did take place, and it was a nice thing to see Nate get a win, be able to, if he wants to leave the UFC, he can walk away from him now and go do whatever it is he wants. If he wants to re-sign with them, I'm sure they would love to have him, because you could just see the reaction of the crowd. As we say, the man's a needle mover.
Yep.
People love him. And, that's not going to change.
Let's get into the needle mover talk. He's the biggest needle mover they have right now on the roster.
Right now.
Give me another guy.
They don't have the biggest champion. One.
They don't have a champion that moves the needle as well as him.
No, they don't. Not right now. I think they're getting close. But right now, I don't think they do. I think, honestly, I think Volkanovski he's building up a hell of
a... He's got a whole country behind him, though.
He's got a whole country behind him, and he's building up a whole lot of people in other places that are really liking the guy that comes just to fight. Mm-hmm. And I think he's on that path to being that superstar. I think Izzy's was there. I think people are not happy with some of his performances lately. They think that he's been, basically controlling fights instead of trying to finish fights like he did in the past. Yeah. When you're fighting the very best, guys there are in that weight class, you can't always just finish guys. So, but Nate Diaz right now, he's the biggest money maker they have.
Yeah. John, I have a question for you. Do you have a bird inside your little tent there?
No, I have a lot of birds on the outside. Can you hear them?
I can hear them.
Maybe I should turn the air conditioner on so you hear that instead.
Oh no, I was just wondering. Because
dude, there's like 3 that are just like they're battling it out right now. I can hear them.
So
I'm sorry.
Really cute, John. It's really cute.
I bring an ambiance.
Oh, it was. I have an alarm, and on my alarm it has a bird feature, the sound is a bird waking you up. And I was like, maybe it's an alarm, but then it makes sense because you do live on a farm.
Well, I can tell you right now, that's a mockingbird, because it's switching. It's calling out all these different birds, because mockingbirds mimic other birds' calls, and so it's changing so fast. I know it's a mockingbird, and it's right outside.
That's hilarious. I wish I could get that bird to come in here and just mock Dave. That'd be great. I'm gonna send him a mockingbird for Christmas.
That's it.
All right, well, let's get into the co-main event.
Well, let's talk. We talked about the guy that's a needle mover and the guy who is the favorite of the fans. Well, let's talk about the guy that was the favorite of the fans that has now turned heel so fast. So fast.
Didn't take long.
Man, all it takes is one. And Khamzat, he found the way to make it to where everyone now wants to boo him. Yep. Everyone loved him. You talk about Vince McMahon could not have made this happen any faster. It's incredible.
Well, this show is brought to you by Blue Chew. And guys, it's time to bring that summer heat into the bedroom. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable tablet and at a fraction of the cost. The other great thing is we just had Labor Day weekend, and Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your front door in a very discreet package. John, talk about your package a little bit. How does your package get delivered at your front door?
I wish I had my package at my front door. But the real thing is I want you to think about this, Josh. I mean, you know what? You're kind of like a sports car yourself. You're kind of in tune. You're in shape. You're ready to go.
Ferrari.
But you can always be better, man. You can supercharge yourself, and that's what Blue Chew is going to do. Blue Chew is a way to supercharge yourself in the bedroom and make life great for not only you, but for your significant other. If you use Blue Chew, you are a person that is trying to not only be better for you, be better for your significant other.
And our listeners get a special deal at BlueChew.com. And we've got that deal set up perfectly for you guys. If you guys use our promo code weighing in, just pay $5 shipping. That's at BlueChew.com. Promo code weighing in to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring our Weighing In podcast.
His fight against Kevin Holland, you look and you go, I mean, he did exactly what he should have done. If there was an area that you looked and you said, okay, where's the area that he has, a strength that surpasses Kevin Holland? Well, there was no doubt. We talked about it. We said, look, he's a way better wrestler. Kevin Holland's wrestling cannot match up with Chimaev's. Now, could he keep himself safe on the ground with his jiu-jitsu? That was the question. And it was a question for a while in the fight, but he was always in trouble. He did I thought Kevin Holland actually did a lot of good, hard movements that use a lot of energy to try to get himself out of those positions. All the roll throughs, some of the Grammys he was trying, just different things, trying to entwine the leg to, get himself back to his feet. He did a lot of things in trying to create that space that would get him back. He just wasn't able to do it. Chimaev is that good at understanding his base and balance and body position. And every time that, he would lock his hands and Kevin would do that roll through, you would see him unlock and then switch right back and boom, grab a hold of him. And that's called knowledge. That's called skill. That's a guy that knows what the hell he's doing on the ground. And I thought Chimaev really, if you're going to look for a guy and say, all right, you've had all this stuff and people were talking about, your weigh-ins and all that stuff. Man, he was ready to fight. He came out. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He looked fantastic and he got the win, man. And he got the win against someone who I think is a great fighter. I really like Kevin Holland.
I love Kevin Holland, and I got a lot of respect for him stepping up and taking this fight because this was a lot hard to
way more dangerous fight.
Way more dangerous fight for him. I would like to see them run it back. I think, I'm just being honest. I mean, I think there's going to be a fight I think we see later on down the line. If Chimaev stays at 170, I think we see this fight again later on down the line. Because Kevin Holland is somebody that he did, like you said, a lot of good stuff. He's going to have to work on his wrestling. He made some mistakes in that Bravo choke type position where he could have tried to arm drag it by instead of doing that. Could have went right to the guard. Chimaev used a lot of energy in those first initial takedowns. And you can see even the commentary team was saying he's breathing heavy. This is he's one of those fighters that fights this way, and he's going to realize how, like a Michael Chandler, you're going to run into someone who can take everything that you dish out, and what are you going to do if you burn your gas? If you burn the candle on both ends, he's going to end up in the middle of the third round going, shit, I got 2 more rounds or 2.5 more rounds. What the hell am I going to do? And Chimaev is a good fighter. He's got a lot of great gifts. Fight IQ is not one of them. And
but hold on, you can say yes, it is. I understand exactly what you're saying, and there was a lot of excessive movement as far as how he was trying to ragdoll Kevin at times. But where was the place that he was going to get this win? Where was the place that there was the least amount of danger to him? That's where he was put in the fight.
Yeah.
And so you got to look and I understand what you're saying as far as he needs to understand. Right now we're seeing a guy who has 12 professional fights, Josh. 12. Okay. He's young. He's got a lot to learn. Think about you when you had 12 professional fights, okay? You know, how good were you and how much did you know and how much in control of your fights were you, or was it your emotions that was sometimes in control of the fights? So, you know, I gotta give him, you know, some leeway there and say, yeah, I thought he was going too hard, and that could, in the end, catch up and burn him, just like it kind of did against Gilbert Burns, when you just can't get rid of a good fighter. But, you know, at 12 fights, the guy's special. He's good. Now, are there people out there that can beat him? Yes, I think there are. But you've got to be a good fighter to be able to beat him, and you've got to be able to put him in positions where he is doing those kind of things that you're talking about, and then they're not working. Like you're saying, someone like a Michael Chandler, who's very hard to submit, someone that can sit there and just deal with some of this and then start to turn it on. You know, he's going to run into those guys, and we'll see how he deals with them when he does.
Well, to me, one of those guys is Dave's favorite fighter, Colby Covington. I think Colby on the feet is he's not the greatest guy on the feet.
No,
but his striking works for him. And I want to remind people, everyone's like, oh, he's going to get destroyed on the feet. That's what everyone said about Jake Shields and GSP. And if you go back and you watch that fight, GSP was more marked up after that fight the majority of his fights. Jake Shields is not a great stand-up guy. It was very robotic. It was almost the same combination every single time. But it was working, and it worked for him in that fight. This is a very similar situation where Colby Covington is one of those guys. His style of stand-up is it looks horrible, but it works for him. And then you mix that with the ability to get takedowns and stuff takedowns and make you work, and his cardio. He's kind of a bad matchup. You know, he's a bad matchup, I think, for Chimaev, and that pains me to say it. You know, because I'm not a big Chimaev fan either, to be honest. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's extremely talented. I think the sky is the limit for him. But the things that happened over this last week, that's the kind of person I am. Like, I kind of almost feel like I take it personal. Like, you kind of disrespecting the craft of what we do.
Yep.
And it was very unprofessional. Look, if you would have missed it by a pound, 2, I even say maybe 3 pounds, I get it. Yeah, maybe your knee was banged up during training. But at 8 pounds, if you think about it, it's 8.5 pounds, because it was 7.5 over, but you get that pound allowance. It was 8.5 pounds.
Yep.
That's unprofessional.
You're right.
It's unprofessional.
I agree.
And they're like, oh, well, the doctor told him to do this. And
nah, that's bullshit. Don't stop. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Thank you.
Okay. You sit there. Of course, the doctor, and I know the doctor that they're talking about. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and say his name, but he works for the UFC. He's a great guy. Love him. Of course, he's going to sit there and say, hey, stop. Because he knows that Chimaev is, dehydrated already. What does the doctor say? Now, keep on going till you possibly, make the weight, or you possibly, end up in the hospital. Of course, he's going to tell him to stop.
Liability reasons he's got to say
absolutely.
Stop. So there's not just liability, but then there's on top of it. I want to remind people that everyone kept saying the doctor said, well, my doctor told me not to fucking run anymore too, because my foot was fucked up and I still did it. Your doctor tells you to do a lot of stuff that fighters just go, fuck it.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where he knew he wasn't going to make the weight. You can blame the doctor all you want.
Yeah, don't blame the doctor. It's all on Chimaev.
How many times have we seen Gleison Tibau and Aspen Ladd get carried to the fucking scale?
Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
How many of them?
They're getting walked up there by their corners. We didn't see that. He understood he wasn't going to make the weight. He gave up.
Yep.
That is that's just in bad taste. Like, that's very unprofessional. And so, look, I look at it like I lost a lot of respect for him. I was pumped on him early in his career when he first got into the UFC. Still early in his career, by the way. Yeah. I was pumped on him. I was like, okay, this guy, I like what he's doing. Got a little flair to him. He's, a fun fighter, this and that. But it's kind of getting on me now when you show up that much overweight. I'm like, this is just not. If this is what we're going to see later on, how do you know he just won't do this?
Especially when you're in the main event. You're the main event.
And I've already had people come to me and go, yeah, well, Khabib missed weight. You guys, Khabib still tried to always make weight. You didn't see him get on the scale and be like, start flipping people off.
No, Khabib ended up in the hospital.
This is very true, by the way. Yes, he did. You know, so and he was never over by 8.5 pounds or 8 pounds. So and let's dial that back and you know, and I've had multiple conversations with Habib about it. You know, on missing weight, and he'd cut a lot of weight early in his career. He got it all under control as it went on. I think Chimaev will have to do the same thing. He can't be hanging out with fat Darren Till and expecting to make weight. The fucking meme is. Oh,
the meme.
If you see that meme, the meme's great.
Their faces are like this, man.
That's gonna live on forever, man. That's gonna live. Yeah. It's on the internet now. It's there forever. It's fucking so great. I thought it was a good performance, though. I can't take it away from him. He came out, did what he had to do, got the win. I think they're going to eventually meet again later on down the road. Kevin Holland has a lot to offer. He's got to work on his wrestling. You think Kevin
Holland touch gloves with him?
Nope. Lesson learned, man. Lesson learned.
That's it.
So, yeah. I don't know. I want to see. I want. How many fights does Kevin Holland have? Because you're talking about Chimaev's 12 fights. But how many fights does Kevin Holland have?
He's got more than that. Hell, he's had 6 fights.
Wow, 23-8.
Yeah.
23-8
contest.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a lot of fights, man. I mean, you know, Kevin Holland, I think, has found his home at 170. I think he's got the potential of making a good run. I don't know if he's gonna ever be able to be champion, but I think he's got the potential to make a good run. His body style makes it very awkward and difficult for a lot of fighters. You know, those shorter fighters, I don't. Like a Colby Covington or Gilbert Burns.
Did you say a shorter fighter, Colby?
He's not as tall as.
He's not as tall as
Kevin Holland.
Holland, no.
I should say not a lot of people are, but the fighters that are significantly shorter than Kevin Holland and Chimaev, those fighters are going to have a difficult time getting past their guards, their knee shields, their legs, the reach of their palms, all those things. That's why John Jones was successful, because he's athletic as fuck. But that was always a problem, having that reach and that range. That, you know, how John would just palm you in the face. Be like, get away from me. Yeah, big brother, you like palm you in the face. I mean, that's kind of what Kevin Holland's going to be able to do at 170. I think Chimaev a very similar situation. So I'm looking forward to seeing where these two progress in the 170-pound division. I think we're going to see, if Chimaev ends up getting to a title shot, I think he runs off into the 185 and tries to become a 2-division champion. Kevin Holland, I think, has found his home, and if he does have success here, and as he gets older, wants to put the weight back on, could potentially go there as well. We could see these guys meet up several times throughout their careers. That's my thought.
First off, would you even consider putting Chimaev in a title fight?
No. But you know the UFC is. But you know the UFC is.
Well, I think the Colby Covington fight is the perfect fight. I think it's a great matchup. I think that, styles make fights. And in that one, Colby's style is going to cause Chimaev some problems. They're going to, the wrestling is going to cancel out a lot. And it's going to end up being a lot in the stand-up, but it's also the gas tank. And it's the pressure. And that gas tank that Colby, we know he has, man, I'll tell you what, that might be the difference maker in that fight. Like I said, everyone's got their weakness, and everyone's got that person that's going to cause them problems. I personally believe Colby Covington is the guy to give Chimaev some problems.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Dave, can you pull up the welterweight division? And so I agree with you. I think Colby Covington's the guy who's going to give him some problems. Colby could get caught with a submission. You could see that Darce or Anaconda type choke happen there. You've got Chimaev. He just beat Burns. You got Colby up there right ahead of him. Kamaru's going to get the automatic rematch. I mean, Jeff Neal's looking really good. You got Bilal Muhammad, who is fighting Sean Brady. I mean, there's guys in that mix that could give him some problems. But I think Colby is the next guy. You cannot give him a title shot off of that coming in 8 pounds overweight. It would be a really bad look.
Really bad look and a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. A lot of fighters' mouths.
Yeah.
It would not go over
Dave,
well.
You had some tweets from Conor McGregor. And who else? There was a couple other stuff about Chimaev on this situation. Conor said something. What did Conor say?
So first of all, Conor said, "Congrats, Nate, on making it to the end of his contractual obligations with the UFC, and as a bona fide superstar Gore, an incredible feat, fair play, our trilogy will happen." Then he goes on to say, "My opinion, they should have pulled Hamzat from the card entirely. Reconfiguring bouts and with a more favourable bout for the failed cutter will only make many others in the game follow suit. The smirks on the scale were enough for me. Pull from the card and starve.
I don't agree with it. I'm being honest. Mm-hmm. I look at it. Did he lose? Did Chimaev lose anything in the reshuffling here? Yeah, he lost. He's not the main event. No. Okay, let's be honest.
I think he lost some fans.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but like Kevin Holland, yeah, he lost the fight, but he made out because his bank account is way better today than it would have been today if he had the fight that he was scheduled to have. All right. Same with, Leach. Leach got more money. Same with Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson got more money. Same with Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
The only one that didn't get more money was Mr. Chimaev. Okay. So now I just look at it and say he got punished. Now, not punished that take away the fight, but when you're taking away a fight, you're also doing that to the fans. Yeah. Because there's people that do want to watch him. There's people that do want to see him fight, and they will pay to have that happen. And then all of a sudden you're taking it away. You might be losing that. To sit there and to take it away, they had the ability to make it right, and they did. They made it as right as you could make it. I don't see, to sit there and say, I'm going to punish. He got punished. He got taken off. He's not the main event. And I honestly think they are going to hold him back in saying, I can't give you a championship fight. Either you're going to move up to 185 or you're going to prove to me several times that 170 is a weight that you can easily make.
Yeah, because you don't get that pound allowance. Also, you have to make championship weight every single time. That's right. That's one thing. And if you're the champ and you don't make weight, you're really sticking it to the UFC in those situations. I think that's a lot for the UFC to swallow. I think for Chimaev, he really lost a lot of fans in this situation. That to me is probably the biggest thing. Come on, even the weigh-ins, and he's flipping fans off now comparatively, and it's different. A lot of people say, "Well, Nate Diaz fucking flips people off." It's different. It's different, guys. Yeah. Nate's not doing it in the same fashion as Chimaev is doing it. Yeah. Nate is saying "fuck you" to the world, like, what? It's me against the world. Chimaev was doing it to people because they were booing him, and they're booing him because of what occurred. Yep. I guess we'll see what the UFC decides to do with him and how they move Kevin Holland around as well. The next fight that got put together because of everything that went on this week was the D-Rod fight with Lee.
Yep.
And to be honest, like I said, I think this was a better matchup for both fighters, and it wasn't a more favorable matchup for both. It was a harder fight for both fighters.
I don't know. I don't know if it was a harder fight, a different fight. Absolutely a different fight. But I looked at it, for Daniel Rodriguez, definitely a different fight as far as he didn't have to deal with someone with incredible length. I think he had to deal with someone that was faster than him. But, Kevin's never been that guy that you looked at and said, he doesn't have a good chin. Kevin's got a good chin. Guys that beat Kevin are normally guys that are able to take him down to the ground and work at him, beat him down, slow him down, and then get, either a submission or a TKO off of it. I looked at, Jiang Lee I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked in control. I thought he looked like he was having fun in there. He got touched a couple times, but he was touching Rodriguez too. I didn't agree with the decision, but it's a close. I'm not going to sit there and complain about it. It's close fight.
What you're doing.
I didn't say he got robbed. I didn't say he got robbed.
Yeah,
it's one of those. If you have that close fight, you could lose it, but you could tell that he absolutely thought he won that fight based upon when they read off that decision. You saw his face. Mm-hmm. He felt like, oh my God, I thought I won that, and I think a lot of people kind of agree with him.
He had that sense of shock like Alger did when he won the title from the knee in the face. He was like, Yeah. Anyways, so it was. I agree with you. I had Lee winning the fight, but by no means was it a robbery. It was a close fight. I had Lee, but I had him winning. I had him winning for sure. A 29-28 fight. This is the way it goes. It is what it is.
Yep.
And for both fighters, mentally, it's a little different to have to fight someone that you weren't prepared to fight at all. Nate Diaz is going to always fight the way he fights. Doesn't matter who he's fighting. Nate Diaz is going to fight his fight. Chimaev is going to probably structure it around what you're good at and try to do the other thing. You know what I mean? In this fight, both these guys are pretty well rounded. Both of them didn't know what to expect. They weren't preparing for each other. And so we ended up getting kind of a ticky-tack fight back and forth. I score, you score, I score, you score. So for a judge, it makes it a little bit harder to come up with, the scorecard.
Yeah.
And the rounds were close. There was some big shots, but I had Lee landing the harder, cleaner shots. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was a close fight. You got to leave it at that. It wasn't a robbery by any means, but I had Lee winning the fight. I agree.
But everybody has got to give it up for Lee that he's the one guy in all of this. It all worked out really well because Tony weighed in at 171. Mm-hmm. Same with Nate. 178.5 for Chimaev. 179 something or 180 for Kevin. 170 pounds is what Lee weighed in, and he took on a guy that was a full weight class, almost not when you're up that high, but in some things 10 pounds heavier. He still took the fight, man. Took the fight, fought his ass off. You could see that he was smaller. He was definitely smaller in the fight, but got to give it up to the guy. He's a gamer. He's a fighter. This is where you look at when you see guys backing out of things, you go, yep, you're good at fighting. You're not a fighter. There's a difference.
Yeah, true. This is true, and that's why I said earlier in this show, when this thing started to fall apart, the UFC was real lucky they had these top 3 fights.
Yeah.
And the way that, and that's probably what's adding to this whole conspiracy theory stuff. But what I mean by lucky, that not that they were all at 170 or, catch weights at 180, is that they were lucky that they had real fighters. They had people that said, oh, pay me a little extra because I want to get paid. That's the nature. I'm a prize fighter because the guys didn't make weight or you're switching my fight at the last minute. Pay me a little extra. I got you, man. I'm good. You didn't hear any of them complain like, oh, I got screwed or, oh, I'm stuck fighting this guy. None of them complained. They all did their job. Yep. Great job from all 6 fighters, but great job for those fights. Next fight, you have Aldana and how do you say this girl's last name? Chiasan?
Macy. I say Kason.
Kason, okay.
Kason.
But I thought she got. Let me ask you this, because this is an honest question. If you get kicked in the boob, do they stop it? Give them a second.
No,
I'm just asking.
No.
I don't have boobies, so I just
well, you
wanted
do.
to know.
Yeah.
But I just
no
want
one
to know,
wants to see them.
If you show you my nipples, I was just wondering because I wasn't sure if you got kicked there, if it was like getting cup checked. Okay, nope. Wasn't sure. Sure. All right, so I thought she got kicked in the boob and she went down, and I thought the ref was gonna be like, all right, cool, timeout, let her, But then I saw the kick landed somewhere else, landed the liver, and it was a good shot, nicely done. But those were like in my mind, my mind was racing. I'm like, oh, she got kicked in the boob. Timeout, referee, give her 5 minutes.
I don't want to get into why your mind was racing.
Yeah, got kicked in the boob. Yeah, kicked in the boob. Oh, great.
Now, the rules for MMA are very simply put. They're the same for men and women. Basically, what is a foul for a man, it's the same as the foul for the woman. It's like when we don't say it's we'll say people will call it a low blow, a groin strike, things like that. It's not, oh, you got hit in the balls. Okay. Groin strike. Women have groins, men have groins. So yes, a woman can get kicked in the groin the same as a man. They get the same type of relief from that, the 5 minutes, it's a foul, all that stuff. When it comes to the boob, is a woman's chest more sensitive than a man's? Probably, yes. But doesn't change anything.
No. They can also wear turtle shells.
Nope.
Oh, they can't?
Nope.
Oh,
Boxing does that.
Got it. Because I know, like in other, like in soccer, you know, women wear turtle shells, and other sports,
they
women
can
wear turtle shells. Yeah, they have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and the reason why.
What's the take on that? Not wearing them.
The reason why is it can be used as a weapon. Women are in MMA in grappling situations where you're on top of someone and you have now a hard plastic object that you can start to grind into somebody. Now it becomes more of a weapon than it is a protector.
Isn't that like a steel cup?
Can be.
Yeah, your guys' reasoning is garbage.
No,
Anyways.
okay. How many? I want you to think about this. When you're grappling with someone, how often is it that you get your chest close to their face? Pretty often.
I get my dick to their face quite a bit too.
I'm not saying you never do, but more often, no, you don't get to that position where your cup is over someone's face as often. And they're going to make you wear the cup, and it is the way it is. Yeah. It is just the way it is.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Josh is all about protect the boobs.
I am. I'm all about it. Look, Johnny Walker versus Cutelaba. Fight didn't go long. It's what you get. It was. Johnny Walker looked good, but in short-term fights, he
always has. He always has looked good in short-term fights.
In short-term fights, yep.
Yeah, well, it's a tough one because we looked at it when knowing Cutelaba, we said very aggressive first-round guy. He went after him.
Yeah.
Johnny did a nice job of protecting himself. He didn't take a lot of damage. He did a nice job of getting out of the position. Then he switched it around. Nice, drop of Cutelaba to the ground with some of the takedowns and stuff. Beautiful job of getting his hooks in quickly. And once he did, he finally applied the choke and stuff. This is the Johnny Walker that you need to see, though. Mm-hmm. If Johnny Walker is going to continue on with his career and be successful, he's got to fight in this fashion because he can't take a lot more damage. You can't be in these stand-up brawls all the time, getting hit on the chin. Obviously, that's not working out well for you. So then you got to change it up. I think that's what he's trying to do. He's working with John Kavanagh at SBG. He's living in Ireland most of the time. Training with those guys. He says he's making a difference. He says he's seeing a difference, and we kind of saw it in this fight. But this is one of those fights. It could have gone bad for him because Cutelaba, like we said, strong, powerful, first round. Big power. He could have put him out. Johnny Walker did the right things and, switched things around and got the rear naked choke. So I just look at it and go, this is a nice step for Johnny Walker. It's unfortunate they pushed him out of the arena wearing his shorts and gloves with no shirt or anything. It's like, I don't know if did you see that?
Yeah.
The
UFC let everybody know what they thought of Johnny Walker's performance. Get out the back door. Take your fucking gloves with you.
I don't know if it was the UFC or the security, but man, they had no respect for poor Johnny.
None. He's on the strip, fucking in his gloves and in his fight shorts. No shirt, no sandals, nothing.
Dude,
just fucking out there barefoot. Like, what the fuck?
You fought, get out.
I can't imagine walking barefoot in the fucking strip. Oh, disgusting. Fucking gross. Just gross.
Dana did get asked about that in the presser, and he's like, I have no idea. He's like, I think it's something to do with Ireland, like the rule with like him going back to Ireland or something like that. But it was,
what?
Yeah, it was. Dana said he had no idea. He's like, I don't know.
He has no idea because it has nothing to do with him going back to Ireland.
He's like, what the fuck?
Oh man, that's funny though.
Man. You got to be nervous, man, walking around on the strip. Needles, HIV on the car, on the sidewalk. Ugh, I can't imagine. All right, anyways, what other fights on this card you want to talk about?
Look, I thought, Julian Erosa looked really good. Erosa's a guy who came up on the Ultimate Fighter, was sent away for a while, went and had fights, did all kinds of things, fought, Patty Pimblett and Cage Warriors and stuff. But man, his last couple of fights, he has really, really come into his own. Do me a favor, pull up his record for me, Dave, so you can see it. But he's had some barn burner fights, and he comes and man, he puts on a show. I really enjoy it. Win against Charles Jourdain, who we both love and we think is outstanding. That's 3 wins in a row, for him. He's got a win against Nate Landwehr, who tough as hell. I mean, the guy's really been fighting well in his last 7 fights. 6-1. Obviously, I think the one, if it's his last 8, he's 6-2. But I mean, you can't ask more. The guy comes to fight. He puts on a show. He freaking will stand with anyone. He's actually got a good ground game. Yeah. And he, if you heard the commentary throughout this whole thing, they're talking about how good, Dawodu's fucking stand-up is, and it is good. It's clean. Yeah. And it wasn't better than fucking Arosa's.
No.
Arosa landed the cleaner shots, the harder shots. He hurt him. He just dominated that fight. He looked fantastic.
When you take 2 fighters who are equally the same and one person's normally faster, which Dawodu is probably the faster fighter, but when they're technically better, like Erosa was, just tighter with his defense, let the hands come from his face, he had the better combination, which got there faster. You hear fighters say all the time, or coaches say all the time, throw the straight punch. It gets there faster than when you loop your stuff. And it really just came down to just the patience, the confidence, I think, in what he could do. And once he started touching Dawodu, he just realized, like, look, this is my fight. And he just never retreated back. He never let the fight really get out of his control. He controlled the pace from beginning to end. Great performance, great job. I mean, interesting to see where he ends up, in this whole mix up of what's next for you. He's a good fighter. I agree with you, John. He is a good fighter. So, back to the card. I want to talk mainly about this fight. Chris Barnett and how do you say his name? Collier?
Yeah, Jake Collier.
What a fight, John. It was
Dude,
fun.
Started out. Come on, the way it started out, crazy. They just started. Every fight should start like that one did.
It was great.
Just let's stand here and just throw down because they started winging. And if you don't love Chris Barnett, you don't love fighting, you don't love people, man. You're a negative Nancy because that dude is awesome. He is fun to watch. And for a dude, 5'9" and 200, he weighed in at 267.5 or whatever. He was 280. How
do you miss weighted heavyweight? Come on.
How do you miss weighted heavyweight at 5'9"?
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, I'm 5'10". Can you imagine being an inch shorter than me and being that much?
It's another you.
It's another. It is.
It's another you.
That's crazy, man. 2 of me in this body. Jeez. But I thought it was a great come from behind win.
Yeah.
He got
hurt.
A lot of trouble in that first round. He kept fighting. Collier, he fought a great fight as well. He was touching him up, landing the cleaner, better strikes. He blew his wad trying to get him out of there instead of making the space and touching him up. Go back to the DJ fight when he just fought and just won the title. How patient he was after he rocked Moraes with the punch. Tracked after him, set up the knee as soon as he saw the Moraes' back hit the fence. Boom, knee came up the middle. Great lead job. But that's the kind of great job. That's the kind of thing that we talk about. Young fighters need to continue to work on. You see some of the best boxers in the world rock somebody and then smother all their punches and then not get the finish. Yep. And that's at the highest level. So it's not the easiest thing to do. You've got to learn to temper and control your emotions. And Collier didn't do that, and that cost him the fight. He could have got him out of there had he made some space, hit him with the longer arms or the touch and touch and touch, then throwing the combinations. I thought he looked good up until he started getting tired. He blew his wad. Chris Barnett was pushing back, and they started gunslinging. And that's not the fight you want to be in with someone who's shorter in stature, thicker, obviously didn't make weight, but he has a little bit of a gas tank, man. He's a goer, and he's having fun out there. Those are fighters that you should be afraid of because they're relaxed. They're having fun. They love this shit. The way he does his front flip and breaks his back every time.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I'm like.
So I mean, I'm all for the front flip, but don't freaking land on your ass where it's jarring your back. I was
So
like,
funny.
ow.
You know
That's
he's gonna have
great.
back problems too, carrying around that belly his whole life. Some problems.
He was even fun after the interview that Rogan did with him, man. If you don't love Chris Barnett, you got problems.
Yes.
The dude was phenomenal. He was fun to listen to. It was great seeing Todd Duffy in his corner.
Yeah.
People are looking and you see the long blonde hair, which they've never seen with Todd, but it's like, hey, there's Todd. That's good, man. Another old guy.
I think Chris Barnett took the place of Deo Cormier as Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, no doubt.
Now that
No
DC's
doubt.
gone, I think that Chris Barnett's got Kung Fu Panda. He's
He
got to
gets
make
Kung
shirts,
Fu
man.
Panda.
He's got to make shirts, Kung Fu Panda.
He's
Chris.
a lot more of a Kung Fu Panda than fucking Cormier, because
Yeah.
Cormier was a Kung Fu wrestler.
Yeah. I want to see Chris Barnett, if you make those shirts and you sell them, I want my percentage. I'll just take 2%, 3%. We're good. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our talk on 279. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Look, there was a lot of commotion, a lot of action going on. Also, if you guys liked our little show that we did on Friday, that was a surprise show for you guys, given all the circumstances, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you thought of it. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button also to our channel. The growth has been a little slower these days but we're going to try bringing you some more content here and there. But we want to thank you guys for sharing our channel, watching our channel, doing all those things. So Podcast Dave, give us some news, buddy.
All right. Well, in the last few days, we got confirmation of Chandler versus Poirier, and then we had Chandler come out with his tweet: a date, a name, a location, same demeanor. See you at the top. Hashtag UFC 281.
I've loved this fight from the moment we talked about it. I think right after he got done fighting his last fight. Who did he fight last? He fought Tony. So right after he fought Tony, I was like, you know what? The Dustin fight would be a great fight. That'd be a fantastic fight. So I would have liked to have seen that fight. I'd like to have seen this Dustin fight. So the fact that it's happening, I think it's at Madison Square Garden, correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
been
mad.
out for several days though. There's this whole thing about people who go, oh, but it wasn't confirmed. Yes, it was. This was confirmed. In fact, that tweet is from the 7th. Take a look, September 7th. So this fight has everything that you want. Poirier and Chandler don't like each other, which is beautiful. Don't like each other. They've had little face-to-face skirmishes and words and stuff, and it's like, well, the best part, like I always say, is you get to punch each other in the mouth. That's a great thing. That's the best part about fighting, and you don't get arrested. No one gets a lawsuit or anything like that. It's the best. And I think this is a great matchup. It shows right now, especially since you have Makhachev and Oliveira having their championship fight, which they should. Those two guys, are the ones that should be in that. You look and you go, well, you got to get, certain people back. Well, Chandler's and Poirier both have a loss to Oliveira. Is it that, Makhachev wins? You got, the winner of this could be the next in line for it. Who knows? But this is a great matchup. And it's the fact that it's going to be in Madison Square Garden is going to make it even bigger.
Yeah, I look at it. If Dustin wins, he probably will get the next title shot. If Chandler wins, I could see if Dariush beats Gamrot, I think Dariush gets the title shot over Chandler.
Absolutely not.
No, you think they're going to put Chandler?
Yeah.
Because of how marketable he is. I understand where they're coming from. I'm not discrediting that.
And again, just like what you're saying, I understand what you're saying with Dariush, and I love Beneil.
Yes.
Fucking awesome guy, great fighter. He's quiet.
Yeah, that's true.
And
he's too nice of a person.
He is. He's a great person, but you're taking a look at which one's going to sell more, which is the one that they're going to say, well, this is more marketable for us. They're going to say Chandler.
Yeah.
The UFC has found out what Bellator knew with Chandler and stuff. Look, he's great for the promotion. Mm-hmm. Whether you like him or not, man, he talks well. He says good things about the promotion all the time. He's always talking about how wonderful they are and they've given him so many chances and all these things. He doesn't say anything bad about the promotion ever. He's what they want to, have. And
He can be a little bit of a pain in the ass behind closed doors.
Well, I didn't say anything about behind closed doors.
Yeah, but the front of it all, he's definitely.
There you go.
He exudes himself as a company man.
Yep.
So that's what you got to do, though. That's exactly. If you want to build your brand, if you want to stay in with the Cokers and the Dana Whites and I don't know who the promoter is for PFL. But you know what I mean. Like if you want,
we'll say fucking Ray Sua.
Ray Sefo.
Yeah, this is gonna say we'll say Ray is the guy because he's the one they put out there. So Ray Sefo is it.
You know what I mean? So but I love this fight. I've loved this fight since before we started buzzing about it after the Tony fight. I thought it was a great opportunity for this fight to happen. When the skirmish happened at one of the last UFCs, I thought, okay, there's probably no doubt now they're gonna put this fight together. It took them a little while to get the details worked out. I'm sure each fighter wanted a little extra this, a little extra that, or this or that, put on, cherry on the cake for each one of them. But the fight's going to happen now, and we're going to have a great time, man. I'm pumped for that fight. It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
Dustin, there's an opportunity and a chance that we may see Chandler get submitted for the first time. I would say Oliveira too, but I think Chandler leaves his head in positions that could jeopardize him getting caught in that arm and guillotine.
I just want you to think of one thing with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Low kick.
Yeah.
Calf
all
kick.
day long. All day long.
Hello.
All day long. I actually just watched the Gaethje and Chandler fight again last night. And the calf kick is just money, and Gaethje didn't go to it enough in the second and third rounds, but he was also landing cleaner, harder shots in the second, third rounds. Yeah. But he was piecing them up. But yeah, on that, I agree with you that the low kick will be a big factor. If Dustin can avoid getting hit with the big shots early in the fight, is this a 5-round fight? Is this the main event?
I don't know.
I
don't think it's a main event. It's not. It will not be a main event. Not in New York.
That card has a title fight already. Let me find out what it is.
Okay, but will this be a co-main 5 rounds like we just saw? I mean, that would make sense, right?
Possibly.
Your fight card is Izzy and Pereira, and then Carla and Zhang. So I doubt it's.
It's
probably going to slot in right.
Definitely
now.
won't be a.
So
definitely won't be a 5 round.
No, it'll be before Hooker.
Which that works well for Chandler.
Yeah, it does. We've said this a bunch of times, and
Poirier comes on in the later rounds. He's got a good gas tank.
Yep.
But
and I think, are you getting a little feeling though, like because you getting a feeling the UFC's doing this on purpose?
Yes.
Got it. I kind of got the little bit of the vibe too. Now you just told me. Now we just found out it was 3 rounds. I'm like, this is a 5-round fight. Like, if you're talking 2 of the best guys in the division, this is a 5-round fight. It should be a main event somewhere.
Yeah.
You're putting it in MSG. Like, I know you got to have stacked cards in MSG because MSG is like LA. They won't come unless it's a stacked card.
Super expensive.
Yeah, it's like Dana was saying. He's like, it costs $500,000 just to turn the fucking lights on. He's like, that's not counting security, staff, fucking, vendors, all that shit. That's not counting all them. That's just to turn the lights on.
Union fees. Are you kidding? Freaking crazy there.
Brutal. But hey,
it's a cool place.
Good fight. You got Weili Zhang versus Carlos Esparza on there as well. Esparza on there, and then you've got Dan Hooker. He's gonna be fighting as well. How do you say this guy's name? Puelles. Yeah, Claudio Puelles. He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. So that card's a pretty stacked card. There's another good fight right below that one. Scroll down.
Yeah, Brad Riddle.
Yes, I love me some Brad Riddle.
Against Moicano? That's a good one.
Moicano should be a good fight. Man.
Molly.
Meatball Molly. She's going to be fighting on a card without Patty.
She got a tough fight, man.
Oh, that's going to be a tough one.
She got a tough fight against her.
Good card, though, overall. Dominic Reyes making his return with Ryan Spann on that same card.
Yep.
That's interesting they put him so far down. Interesting. Huh. Anyways, all right, what else you got for us, Dave, on some news?
All right, let's talk Thiago Santos leaving the UFC and going to the PFL.
Smart move.
Yep.
Just telling you right now. Nice job there, Thiago. I'm happy for you. I hope you made a shit ton of money. Okay? You take a look at this is one of those ones that what's he going to do in the UFC now? He's at that point where, he had that rise. He was, near the top, and then fallen off a little bit. So you can say, do I want to stay in the UFC and just because I need to be in the UFC, or could I go somewhere else and make more money? Possibly, win their light heavyweight title and get that $1 million check at the end of the year. I think this is a smart move for Thiago. This is why you became a fighter, is to make money. Okay, this is the reason why. And so when that opportunity comes and you look at it, jump on it. Good job.
Yeah, you look at certain fighters, right? Rory McDonald went there. I know he just retired, but he went there, made a ton of money. When he left Bellator, went there, made a ton of money. Never won the $1 million, but he made a ton of money in the process. They do a good job of making sure that the fighters that they want to succeed are getting paid well. Santos is probably making pretty damn good money, to be honest. You got Pettis was making $750 a fight, plus if he would have got to the finals and won it, another $1 million. There's Chris Wade. He's been to the finals a couple times, I think twice.
Well,
you've got Lance Palmer, who's he's being courted by Bellator and the UFC, but he's like, I can't leave. He's like, I keep winning these things. I think he's won 3 of them now. That's $3 million plus his fight, 2 of them. But for sure, he's got his. I'm a little jealous. Guys driving around a fucking Lambo. Damn it, a little pissed off. But
you got to be honest about this and take a look. It's the bigger names like Thiago have not done well at the PFL.
No.
Okay, you can take a look at Anthony coming out. What was Anthony's overall record in the PFL? 2-4, something like that.
Oh, Anthony Pettis. Pettis. Yeah,
okay.
I think he only has 2 wins.
Jeremy Stevens, gone there. He's got 2 losses, right?
He's got 2 losses. Yeah.
He's got 2 losses, or is he 1-1?
No, I think he's lost both.
Okay, now Stephen Ray, he came from the UFC, but he's got 2 wins now against Pettis. But you're taking a look and you're saying, man, it's not this easy road. People are, and this is when you're going to get all kinds of people. Oh, you want to talk bad about the UFC? I'm not talking bad about the UFC. I'm saying that other places have good fighters that I don't care if you're coming from the UFC or if you're coming from Bellator. Rory, when he went from the UFC to Bellator, he had a couple good fights, and then, things didn't go that well for him in the end.
Well, he had a hard fight. That fight, I think, with
Lima
in the that fight right there.
That was his second fight.
That changed him.
He fought Daly. He got a quick submission on Daly, and then he fought Lima. Took a lot of damage.
Yeah, and
from that point, wasn't quite the same.
He hadn't been the same since the Robbie fight.
Robbie Lawler fight.
He had glimpses of greatness again in some of his fights. But then after that first Lima fight, he just didn't look the same. He couldn't be kicked anymore. He was struggling to, like, his shin, his legs. He's going to deal with a lot of leg pain and his nose stuff for a while, for the rest of his life. And so I think for him to leave the way he did, he made a lot of money. And for him to leave when he did, it was someone that understands what he's going to have to deal with later on in life.
Yeah, because he's only 33 years old.
I know, man. It's fucking crazy, isn't it, John?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's a smart kid, man. When you talk to him, it's like he's smart.
He was a kid. Now he's a man.
Yeah, he's a man.
At 33, he's a man with a family. But I think it's great for Thiago, and I hope he does well, but it ain't going to be an easy road for him.
No. What I want to explain to people is this, is when fighters leave the UFC, Shane Burgos, he's there at PFL now. Okay? Santos, there at PFL now. There comes a stage when you realize, okay, look, the UFC's not really promoting me like they're promoting Chimaev, or like they're promoting, Nate Diaz, or they're promoting somebody. You know what I mean? Like, once you realize that they're not going to promote you that way, or they're not going to give you the fights that you feel are not just favorable to you, but fights that will make it an action-packed fight. I've complained about that a long time, and I said, look, when I went to the UFC, all I wanted to fight, the 2 guys I wanted to fight, Donald Cerrone was my main guy that I wanted to fight, and I wanted to fight not Sergio, Anthony Pettis. Those 2 guys were the 2 guys that I was like, all I ever heard about when I was in Strikeforce. Those guys would knock you out. Those guys would do this. I wanted to fight those guys. And it was cool. I get it. But these fighters that are going from the UFC, it's harder for them to make the transition to the PFL, to Bellator, to ONE, as we saw with Mighty Mouse and we saw with Eddie Alvarez. It's because they're coming in there as like shark bait for all the talent. That's
they're
that
a target.
extra they're a huge target. It's that extra motivation to train a little bit harder. It's that extra motivation to be like, I want that fucking guy. I want to let everyone know that I can beat that guy. The only problem I think that that those fighters will always run into is the same problem that you and I have sometimes on this podcast, is that they're going to think that, oh, these guys left, they're washed out. Santos has a lot left in the tank. Okay. Shane Burgos, he's got a ton left in the tank. He's got a ton left there. Pettis, he still had some good fights left in him, but the guys he fought just brought it to him in a different way. And, and it's Jeremy Stevens. He still had a little bit left in the tank. He just hasn't been able to get the win. These fighters have something. Benson Henderson came off of wins to Bellator. He couldn't buy a win his first 4 or 5 fights.
Oh my God,
he was struggling. His win against Patricio was because Patricio kicked him and he broke his own leg.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a win like he came out and dominated. He was actually losing that fight.
Yes, he
to
was.
a 45-pounder. And let's not forget that Benson was coming off of a win, I think, to a 70-pounder in the UFC.
Yep.
Who was the guy that he beat?
Multiple times.
Yeah. And so, but my point is, look, there's good fighters everywhere. We know that. Just start paying attention to all the fighters. Find somebody in each organization that you like watching and tune in and watch them. Those are the guys that you should probably try to start attaching yourself to a little bit. Scroll down a little bit. Scroll down a little bit more.
Just a little bit more.
Fights in Bellator.
Right there. Came in, he had one fight against Koreshkov for the title. He got just tooled up in that
Brandon Thatch is the guy I was thinking of who was big.
Yeah.
And then he beat Masvidal. I think that was at 70 also.
It was.
Yeah, so he beat Masvidal at 70 and he beat Brandon Thatch. I mean, Benson had a lot left in the tank when he came over to Bellator. He just couldn't get a win. He was struggling with a lot of the guys.
Yeah.
But good fighter. Great fighter, to be honest. He's a great fighter. Fucker beat me.
Great guy.
Son of a bitch.
He broke your thumb.
Yeah, he's a fantastic person. His whole family. He met his wife and his kids. They're just You're not going to find a better group of people in the world. Absolutely not. All right, next.
All right, you want to wrap up on this boxing?
Yeah. Well, we had the NFL going into the boxing ring. 2 former NFL running backs, both of them fantastic. Listen, Adrian Peterson, one of the greatest running backs of all time, against Le'Veon Bell, who was unbelievable also. Took it to the ring, a boxing match. And it didn't go well for one of them.
I mean, John, they're both extremely athletic. Both still have a lot left in the tank. Adrian Peterson owns a gym out in Houston. It's called O Athletic. And we've been there. I interviewed Kimbo Slice there at his gym. I interviewed Ken Shamrock there because I had just got signed on by Bellator to do some backroom, locker room interviews. And that was the very first time I'd ever done an interview with another. I've done interviews with other fighters, but I mean, that was the first time I've actually done like a back room or a press conference type interview. And Kimbo, man, just an absolute great guy. Yeah. But I met, and then I did Ken there as well. But I met Adrian. He was there, and that was his gym called O Athletic, or he's a partners in on it or something like that. But Le'Veon Bell used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he also played for the Chiefs, from my Chiefs. And a little bit of a bad attitude, but great running back. He had his moment in Pittsburgh, never had his moment again after that, but he had his moments in Pittsburgh. And John, I was surprised, to be honest, how clean he looked on the feet a little bit. Good combination. I would have thought
very relaxed.
Yeah, and I would have thought Adrian Peterson would have been the more relaxed and the better boxer, given that he owns a gym, O Athletic, that has a cage, that has a ring, that does kickboxing, boxing, all of those things. I would have thought that. If you look at though, I think Le'Veon Bell's significantly younger. I would say probably at least 6-7 years younger. So that makes a difference. Yeah, younger. So, overall though, what do you expect to get from these kind of fights?
You know what I expect to get from this fight now? Since Le'Veon Bell knocked Adrian Peterson out in this fight, put him on his butt, referee stopped the fight. But I expect to see Le'Veon Bell against Frank Gore now.
Really?
Just being honest. Yeah, come on. You got these. Frank Gore has had a couple of fights now. He just had a nice win. He just had a good, he's been into boxing. Yeah, they want to box, let him box.
But Frank Gore lost to the guy Williams, the basketball player.
Basketball player, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. Something Williams. Maybe. Maybe. I'm just waiting for Jake Paul to be like, you know what? Le'Veon Bell. Jake Paul's going to be like, Le'Veon Bell, I'll fight you too. So I'll wait for that call. Oh, man. But hey, you know what? That's going to wrap up our show. It is really early here. It's about 5 a.m. here in San Jose, California. These guys live on the East Coast and middle of America in Austin there. Dave does. So he's an hour behind Big John, which means they get to sleep in when we film these. I want you guys to thank me for holding down the fort at 5 a.m. All the credit goes to Josh Thompson.
You're right. I want everyone to know that, yes, the credit goes to Josh Thompson.
Yeah.
The guy who the fights end at 10 o'clock at night, not 1 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, you guys get to sleep in. Listen,
You sleep in.
Sleep in.
How do I get to sleep in?
I don't go to bed anyways till midnight, so it doesn't make a difference. 1 extra hour. Ooh. But hey, go to weighinpodcast.com, pick up some of our merch, you guys. We've got some hats coming soon, man. We met with this hat company. They are fantastic. I'm pumped. You guys saw some of the hats, but we've also made some changes to them. I like that trucker hat look in the back instead of the flex fit trucker hat. I like the trucker hat with the snapback, but with the front, with the flat brim. So I like that one. So we're going to do one of those as well. John's just hating me right now. He's like, God, I hate those ugly damn hats. But see, John likes the old man style hat, right?
Old man style.
Yeah. That's
Please
like
do me a favor. Explain to me the old man style.
You know, I don't know. I'm not old. I don't know what it means. Something that was before my time. So.
Well, the old man might be the one with all the tears in it.
Yeah. That's so funny. Podcast Dave, great job on your refereeing debut. Nicely done, my friend. Great job.
Yes.
And you guys, we'll see you guys in the midweek show. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, hit the bell, so you guys get notifications when we do a quick drop. Like John and I talked about,
which we will be doing more of.
We'll be trying to slide some of those in there when there's some big time headlines to talk about. We'll try and jump on and give you guys our thoughts. You know, sometimes they'll be 2-3 minutes. Sometimes they'll be 15 minutes, you know, so hit that bell, get notifications from us, let us know that you guys enjoy our content. Thank you so much, man. And John, take us away.
Yeah, for everyone out there. Oh, let me say this. For everyone out there that came to the aid of Podcast Dave for all of his trolling attempts on Twitter and Instagram and everything, get a clue. Just get a clue.
You guys. I want to say one last thing. # free Kane. I also want you guys to go to Lions Not Sheep, pick up shirts there. That money goes directly to his family to help with lawyer fees, any other things that they got going on. I've been working with a good company to work on one of the documentaries that are leading up to this. John and I have done some content for them as well, so that is hopefully going to be picked up here shortly. That will drop, and that will give everyone a lot of the inside information of what is really happening. There's a lot of things that people don't know, but I want to bring more light to this because it's kind of faded away a little bit. But he does have court here where he puts his plea in. I think it's on the 26th, I think is what it is. So if you guys are following along, please keep track of the stuff on social media, repost it, let everyone, remind everyone that this man is still out there defending other people's children, doing the things, not just trying to defend his own, but everyone else's children out there. And please go out there and support # free Kane. Lions Not Sheep. You can pick up his shirt. John.
For everyone out there, please go and do exactly what Josh is saying, and we will see you.